ISD will now convene here on Monday, January 13th, 2025, beginning at 5:31 p.m. We're here gathered in the John P. Neubauer Administration Building at 310 South Cherry Street, Tomball, Texas. At this time, for the record, a quorum of the board is present. All trustees are in attendance tonight, and this meeting is being recorded in accordance with Government Code Section 551.128. And if during the course of the meeting covered by this notice, the board should determine that a closed session of the board should be held or is required in relation to any item included in this notice, then such closed session as authorized by Section 551.001 of the Texas Government Code, aka the Open Meetings Act, will be held by the board at that date, hour, and place given in this notice or as soon as after the commencement of the meeting covered by this notice, as the board may conveniently meet in such closed session concerning any and all subjects and for any and all purposes permitted by Sections 551.071 through 551.084 of the Open Meetings Act. Happy New Year. Hope everybody had a great holiday break. I think 2025 is off to a great start.
Yes, it is.
And certainly wonderful to be here as we begin our business for 2025. And so with that, I'd like to give the floor over to our superintendent, Dr. Martha Salazar Zamora, to proceed with recognitions.
Thank you so much, and good evening and Happy New Year. To our president, Dr. Pratt, the members of the school board in Tomball ISD, and all of you in attendance tonight, we are going to start with a handful of recognitions. Very excited to start with school board appreciation and then move to student recognitions. When I think of school board appreciation, there are countless things that come to mind. I want to start off with, if you're unaware, there is an actual theme that is given every year around honoring our school board members in Texas public school districts. And so our students, the graphics this was designed by our students at Tomball High School under the direction of our teacher, Audrey Jennings. And if you look, it's Leadership for Tomorrow's Tomball. And our students were a part of and actually drew this and painted that for you, our school board members. I have a few words I want to share, and like any school board, or rather not a school board member, like any good superintendent, as I thought of the words and who could better eloquently say what was in my head, I referred to ChatGPT. So, I put in what I thought, and it made it so much better. I'm actually going to read it because this is just a small thank you for all that you do. Some of you have been doing this a lot longer. Some of you are new at this, but you will learn from those that have been doing this that when you do it for the right reasons and from the heart, it is, I think, a little bit easier. We extend our deepest gratitude for your unwavering dedication and service to our schools and our community. Your commitment to fostering quality education, supporting teachers, and prioritizing the needs of all students is truly commendable. The countless hours, and I'm going to say that again because people do not often recognize the amount of time that goes into this unpaid position. The countless hours you invest, often behind the scenes, are the testament to your passion for creating a brighter future for the next generation, hence the light bulb as we think of the brightness in the future. Your leadership, thoughtful decision-making, and willingness to listen to the voices of the community does not go unnoticed. In a time of social media, ChatGPT did not add this, in a time when social media is ready to tell you all the things you are not doing right, I want you to know we know what you are doing right. You are making a difference. Thank you for navigating challenges with integrity and ensuring that every student has the opportunity to succeed. We greatly appreciate your hard work, your dedication, but more than that, your willingness to serve all students in Tomball ISD. It is with grateful hearts that we thank each and every one of you for your willingness to serve, whether it's your first year or your many years of service. I appreciate you as a member of the Team of 8, and I know everybody in this audience and every person that's a part of Team Tomball appreciates you. Thank you, and I'm going to start with. Okay, so we're in Tomball, Texas. So to go with the Texas theme, we have a little gift for you that I think you will all very much appreciate. Dr. Schindewolf will be calling names if you will come down for a special gift. And if you're the first to get it, don't give away what it is. Yes, we'll take pictures. Don't give away. Hold on. Okay.
Okay. Okay, well, we will start with our president, Dr. Michael Pratt. Our vice president, Mark Lewandowski. Secretary, John McStravick. Assistant Secretary, Tina Salem. Trustee, Amanda Bass. Trustee, Coco White. And Trustee, Jennifer Kratke.
Again, thank you to our incredible board for all that they do. Now we would like Tomball High School and Tomball Memorial High School FFA officers to come up under the direction of Carla Sandoval, our Director of CTE. I think they have a special request and some invitations to pass out.
The coasters, yes. The buckle, no.
Good evening, President Pratt, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Salazar Zamora, colleagues, parents, students, and guests. Tomball ISD has a long-standing tradition that connects our community's strong agricultural roots with life-changing experiences for our high school students. The FFA organization makes a positive impact in the lives of students by developing their potential for leadership, personal growth, and career success. Students involved in our FFA program don't have a season. Their competitive events begin in early fall and extend into the summer, while working on various livestock, horticulture, and agricultural mechanics projects is a daily, year-round, rain or shine commitment. This year, over 400 student projects from over 350 exhibitors will compete at our 49th annual FFA Project Show at our Tomball Agricultural Center on the beautiful campus of the Tomball Innovation Center. Joining us tonight to extend formal invitations to each of our board members and cabinet members, as well as recap their fall leadership developed competitive results, are representatives from the FFA chapters at each of our comprehensive high schools. Representing Tomball Memorial High School tonight are FFA President Jacqueline Howard and Vice President Julia Moore, under the direction of FFA Advisor Emily Dennison, and representing Tomball High School are FFA President Kylie Lighthall and Treasurer Lainey Lancaster, under the direction of their FFA Advisor Aaron Jensky.
Good evening, Dr. Salazar Zamora and board members. I am Aaron Jinsky, one of the ag teachers at Tomball High School, and I am joined by Emily Dennison from Tomball Memorial. We will be representing both Tomball and Tomball Memorial FFA this evening, as our other ag teachers are hosting our mandatory show meeting for parents and students to prepare for our show. We are joined by officers from both schools' FFA chapters, Jacqueline Howard, Tomball Memorial, Julia Moore, Tomball Memorial, Kylie Lighthall, Tomball, and Lainey Lancaster, Tomball. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to share the results from our fall leadership development competitions and to invite you to this year's Tomball ISD Livestock Show.
Our officers will now hand each of you an invitation to our show. Please don't forget that the TISD Livestock Show will start on Tuesday, January 21st and end Saturday, January 25th. Come out and see all of our students' hard work pay off. We hope to see you at the Tomball Agriculture Center.
Thank you, sweetheart.
Thank you very much. Great job.
Now Julia will announce the results of Tomball Memorial FFA's Leadership Development Event Teams.
Good evening, board members. I'm glad to say TMHS was successful across the board in our LDE competitions at both our invitational contests and at the district level. Nearly all of our teams advanced to the Area 3 contest. The following results represent how our teams placed at area. Our senior skill team placed 10th. The Ag Advocacy team placed 9th. The senior chapter conducting team placed 7th. The Ag Issues team placed 6th. The Radio Broadcasting team placed 5th. The Greenhand Creed speaker placed 5th. And the Senior Quiz team placed 4th. Now, Kylie Lighthall will announce the results of Tomball FFA's Leadership Development Event Teams.
Just like Tomball Memorial, Tomball High School had a successful LDE season as well. Nearly all of our teams advanced to the Area 3 contest, and one even competed at the state level. The following results represent how our teams placed at area. Our Ag Advocacy team placed 13th, our Ag Issues team placed 5th, our Green Hand Creed speaker placed 8th, our Green Hand Spanish grade speaker placed 13th, our Senior Chapter Conducting placed 10th, and our Senior Skills placed 8th. The Public Relations team was incredibly successful this year as we advanced to the state FFA contest at Sam Houston State University. My team placed second at district, first at area, and placed 8th in the state, which meant we were in the top 5% of competing teams. Team members included Shay Annis, myself, Kylie Lighthall, Caitlin Rectine, and Taryn Zabigela.
As we go into our Spring Career Development Event Contest, we are eager to be just as successful as we were this fall. We are also looking forward to showing our livestock projects at the upcoming Livestock Show.
Dr. Zamora and board members, on behalf of all of the ag teachers and both of our FFA members at both of our high schools, we thank you for your continued support on behalf of both of our FFA chapters. We would not be as successful as we are without your continued support. We hope to see each of you at the 49th Annual Tomball ISD Livestock Show that is starting on Tuesday, January 21st, and it ends with our livestock show and sale on Saturday the 25th. Thank you and have a great evening.
Okay, go backwards, but it works. Yeah. I was gonna say, hey, new year, new direction.
There's no right answer.
There isn't. Look forward to seeing you.
Great job.
Can't wait to see you out
See you
there.
at the show.
We'll see you out there. Congratulations. Thank you. We'll see you out there. Thank you so much for everything. Good job. Thank you so much. Good job. Take a photo. Okay. I don't. Well, I looked at other samples.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing all of you at the show supporting our students. Next, we have the Tomball Memorial High School Cross Country. Kevin Flanagan, our athletic director, will lead us in the recognitions of our students and incredible staff that support our students.
Thank you, Dr. Zamora. Mr. Pratt, the school board, cabinet, thank you so much for having us this evening to recognize our athletes. If I could have Coach Kerrigan and Coach McQuarrie, if y'all could come on up real quick. As they come up, you know, this sport, cross country, really doesn't have a start and an end. There's no start and end by the UIL calendar, so they can practice all year. And I just want to brag on our coaches, first of all, as we get ready to recognize the athletes. But the amount of time that they put in all year, just working all the time in the heat, obviously, that they're in is really unbelievable. Starting before 7 a.m., which means the coaches are probably there at 6 every morning throughout the year, many times in the summer to put in all those hours and so forth. And the success that these programs have had really are a great reflection on Tomball ISD. And we're one of the few 6As that I see that continues to have athletes there each and every year. And it hasn't always been that way. But I know because of the hard work of each of these men and the student athletes that we continue to see support each and every year. So, Coach Kerrigan, if you would come up and introduce our Tomball Memorial athlete.
Thank you again, board, for giving us the opportunity to recognize the kids and their achievements. As Coach Flanagan said, it is a lot of hours that they put in. And I'm here tonight to recognize Alexis Garza. Alexis. Alexis is a senior at Tomball Memorial. I've had the opportunity to work with her now for 5 years. I was fortunate at Willowwood to be her 8th grade coach, and now again, so this is my 5th year senior, I guess, if you want to call it that. But again, she's, since, starting with working with her in 8th grade, to see her development as an athlete as well as a young adult, it's been really awesome to see as a leader with her team. But again, this year, she's had several tremendous years, and this year was another one of those. Just some of her highlights throughout the year. She was throughout the season, we had our typical regular season. As we got to the district meets, the championship meets, Alexis was our district champion for the girls varsity. She moved on to be 7th at the regional meet, and then finished 36th at the state meet. She's a 3-time state meet qualifier. So very proud of her efforts over the long haul. It's not an easy thing to do to make it sophomore, junior, and senior year, so really proud of that. Outside of her being a student athlete, she has a job working with something that she plans to pursue for her career. She puts in a lot of hours with that as well, working at a vet clinic. Alexis she'll be receiving a full scholarship to continue her running at Jacksonville University in Florida. She signed that just before the state meet, I think, right? So she'll be studying biology there. Again, she's been a joy to watch over the years to grow as an athlete, and I'm really looking forward to seeing her continue running. And as I've talked with her family, I spent a lot of time with them, mom, dad, grandparents. They're always there at every meet, both sets of grandparents. But again, talking to them, and one thing that I'm really looking forward to is seeing Alexis. She's been kind of with the girls team, kind of on her own. We haven't had a real solid girls team. They're growing now. We got a big group of freshmen that came in this year, and I think Alexis had a lot of fun with those young ones in there. But she's typically been training with the boys. But I think I'm really looking forward to seeing her next year getting into college and running with a group of girls that are, super talented, running at the collegiate level, and seeing her continue to grow. So, Alexis, congratulations on an outstanding high school career, and look forward to seeing you continue that at Jacksonville University. Thank you.
Who says what's right? Sometimes you have to break with tradition. Congratulations. We'll be following your career. So it starts with the coaches.
Coach, appreciate what you do. Thank you.
Oh, yes.
A lot of times when we have athletes here, they have to be coached where to go. Alexis knew exactly where to go and run the whole deal. It's amazing when you're here every single year. Good job, Alexis. Proud of you. Next up, Coach Austin McQuarrie with Tomball High.
Good evening, Dr. Pratt, Dr. Zamora, members of the board. Thanks for this opportunity to be here, and Happy New Year as well. I'm probably going to say something a little bit different this evening with regards to my athlete that I'm presenting, and I want him to come on up right now. His name is Landon Fleece, and he's a junior, and he qualified for the state cross-country meet for the second year in a row. I'd like to give, usually stand up here and maybe list all the awards and accomplishments that occurred along the way, but his Little different. So. Who needs these? So Landon, this is from the inside looking out. Sorry. You know, we always work with great athletes, student athletes. And I usually stand up here every year, and it's kind of like a broken record. But sometimes, sorry.
You're good, Coach. You're good.
Sometimes we're taught from the athletes more than what we teach them. And so let me go ahead and kind of hit this really quick and quit embarrassing myself. Lance is an outstanding athlete. He's a good runner, and we start June 3rd in the summer, start running. This is what we do. And Landon had an injury, and he couldn't run in June, he couldn't run in July, and he couldn't run moving into August. And that's not what you do as a distance athlete. You lose your whole base. You didn't have an opportunity. And so with a teenager, you got to understand that's probably pretty mentally challenging when you know you've had success and now you're not able to do what you're capable of doing. So we just had to go with doctors and how feel, and finally he had the opportunity in August to doctors released him to start practicing. Well, he's rough over two months behind on running. And like I said, this is going to be a whole lot different, and not talking medals and places, but we go to our first meet, and Landon just now gets to start running. And we only get 7 meets. So we have August, September, and we run district meet on October the 13th, and second Saturday in August is our first meet. So Landon starts back. And so from a coach's standpoint, I don't want to hurt him. I want him to finish the season out. So I have to understand the concept that we're just going to slowly progress through this and have him have the opportunity to actually run and, and do what he does, knowing he's two months behind on everything. So going through the meets, placing in meets, he looks, he knows our times. He's over a minute behind his previous year. It's just a struggle right now. It's tough. And as a teenage boy or a teenage girl, that's a difficult thing when you've been successful in what you do and now you're not able to do that. And so we just had to stay the course. And I'm sure along the way you might have thought of throwing in the towel for the cross-country season and say, hey, I'm just going to get ready for spring season. Okay, things aren't working out the way it's been working. So let me move forward really fast, and I'll get out of your hair for the evening. So we're going to the district meet on October the 13th, and just on time, on paper, he's coming in at about 40th at the district meet, and you got to be in the top 10 just to move to the regionals. And we only get 2 playoffs. We get district regionals, then it's a state meet. So per his words on the starting line that day, he quote, and I'm pretty good at this, he goes, I've never been more locked in on a meet than I am today. And he places 4th, okay? So here's the thing. It is stay the course. Just, as tough as it may be, you just got to progress easily all the way through. So this is an outstanding day. He's 3 seconds off his previous year time at the district meet. So here we go. We're going to regionals, okay? I didn't know what I was got to expect this year because of his situation, because that's a tough thing to do for a runner. And so we go to regionals. He gets the last spot for the qualifier for a state meet. Okay? He gets the last spot, qualifies for a state meet. I'm not going to throw medals out here or places, but it's kind of like the saying, it's not how you start, but how you finish. That's what's most important. So I'm very proud of him. His parents are very proud of him, what he's gone through this season to come back and deal with the adversity that he had. And I know he's going to have a great spring. He's going to have a great year next year. So again, I'm going to introduce Landon here, our junior who qualified, and I definitely look for some good things to come from him. So thanks for the evening.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Good job. Thanks for coaching, but thanks for caring.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thanks for sharing this. Sure.
To continue, and continuing, we have a very exciting recognition, Tomball High School football, and I think they're coming in just on time. Here they come in their Tomball Pride of Texas red.
Yeah, if that's what you call it. It's a roast.
I know many of us had an incredible time watching you young men play over and over again. It was very exciting to see. You want to keep going a little bit that way, sweetheart? You all are a little big. Just trying to get everyone in there. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. We're close. A little bit tighter, like you really love each other. I think we can almost get you all in there. Okay. Some of you can fill in. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. There you go. In between. That'll work. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right. This is obviously our Tomball High School football team, and I want to brag on our coaches first before they brag on these young men. But, you know, these guys started, ask Coach Handel what time they started practice this year, and because of the heat regulations and all the things that we have to do, they started practice many days at 5 a.m. And so these guys will tell you if practice starts at 5 a.m., that doesn't mean you arrive at 5 a.m. That means you are dressed and on the field ready to go at 5 a.m. So that's quite the commitment, as a lot of our athletes have. But these guys spend a lot of time in that regard getting ready, not to mention the rest of the year. And Mr. McStravick asked me, I think we were at the state baseball tournament, and he asked about the continuation of the success of the program and why it is so successful. And we talked a little bit about the culture that's been developed by the coaches and how it perpetuates from year to year and from senior class to junior class and on down, and the things that they do, the expectations, not only by the way they play, but also by the way they behave, the way they act in the classroom, the way they act academically, and every other aspect, and how they represent in the community. And so a couple of things, you know, this Tomball High School football was state champions in the academic realm a few years ago, and has been nominated every single year by the National Football Foundation for academic achievement as a finalist in 6A. And I'm sure they will be again this year. And they've also just recently, I hope I'm not stealing any of Coach Handel's stuff here, but I am, that's okay. You'll come up with something.
We can hear it twice.
Yeah, he's fine. I also just got the Houston Touchdown Club just nominated them as a finalist for a sportsmanship award, which means a lot. I had Dr. Webb the other day help me out, and I said, if you take over the last 4 years, Tomball football has played 13 playoff games, and we looked up the state. Coach Handel looked up every team in the state that had done that. And then we compared them with the help of Dr. Webb for the academic ratings. And in the Houston area, these young men are number one in that group. It's not Katy, it's not North Shore, it's not Atascocita. These guys are number one in that realm. In the state, they're in the top 5. And so I know the wins, we all like to see that. It means a lot, as we know. The other stuff they do is very impressive, and we're extremely proud of them. And that starts with these men back here who are more than coaches, kind of like Coach McQuarrie. He starts talking about their athletes, and you can see how much these guys mean and ladies mean to them. It's more, they don't do it for the stipend, obviously. Don't take it away. But they do it for a lot more than that because it means a lot to them. And I'm proud to have these young men coaching our young men every single day. So with that, head football coach, Tomball High School Cougars, Dave Handel.
There goes all my notes, so I guess I have to just freelance this. But Dr. Zamora, Cabinet, Board of Trustees, thank you so much for having us here tonight. More importantly, thank you so much for how much you support athletics. And you know the importance of athletics and the impact that athletics not only makes in these guys' lives, our community's lives. So thank you so much. Also want to thank my 2 bosses, Chris Scott and Kevin Flanagan, for everything that they do and their support throughout the year and how much they mean to me. So without further ado, why we're here. So you're looking at the 2024 Tomball Cougar football team. This is a team that went 10-2 this season. They were District 15 6A champions, which was the first time that has happened since 1988. They were by-district champions for the 4th year in a row. They were area finalists. This was a team that made the playoffs for the 4th year in a row, which hasn't happened since 1990. This is also a team that advanced to the second round of the playoffs for the 4th year in a row, which hasn't happened at Tomball High School since 1988. This was the fastest Tomball football team to reach 10 wins since 1985. They had 2 district players of the year. They had 28 all-district players. This is an amazing group of young men, obviously super talented, and the success they had on the field is something that we'll never forget. But more importantly, what I'm most proud of are the things that I'm about to read. And Coach Flanagan kind of stole my thunder on some of this, but just the type of kids and their achievements academically is very impressive. So we had 49 players this year make the academic all-district team, which is 74% of our roster, which is amazing. 21 players named to the academic all-state team. We had 74% of our roster make the AB honor roll. We have 41% of our roster make the all-A honor roll. We had 2 players named national merit or earn national merit recognition, and we have 40 players on our roster taking AP classes, which is awesome. They're not just sliding by. So super proud of that. And like Coach Flan said, they were named finalists for the Academic Excellence Award, and they're also Houston Touchdown Club finalists for Sportsmanship Award. Again, this team has impacted a school, a community, in so many lives that they'll never truly understand how big of an impact that they made, and more importantly, on all of our coaches' lives, just what they mean to us as people, and we're super excited to see what they do in the future. It was truly a blessing to get to coach these guys, and for the last time, ladies and gentlemen, the 2024 Tomball High School football team.
They've been here before. They're not new.
Great job. Congratulations. Hey, congratulations. Thanks for coming in. Great job. Congratulations. Good job, buddy. Congratulations. Congratulations. Good job. Thanks for coming in. Good job, buddy. Good job. Congratulations. Congratulations. Good job, man. Thanks for coming in. Good job, thank you. Congratulations. Thanks for coming in. Good job. Congratulations. Good job. Thanks for coming in. Good job. Thank you. Good job.
Good job. Thank you.
Coach, appreciate you.
For everything. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you, Coach.
So
Thank
fun.
you.
Oh, yeah. Good job. Thank you so much.
Sorry. Like I bumped you. It's these guys right there.
Yeah. I have it all, don't I? Okay. Thank you again to all of our student athletes. We are so proud of each and every one of you. Before we conclude recognitions, we did have Landon Reed, a representative from Commissioner Ramsey's office. He would like to come up and, I believe, read a proclamation or snippets of a proclamation.
I'll make it shorter than that.
Okay.
Thank y'all. Steve, I do think it was the right night. I mean, for a Tomball Cougar to show up and have the football team go that good this year, and also get to see Coach McQuarrie, which also coached me. He coached me in football. Yeah, it's a pretty good night for a Cougar to come up, even though I'm on the wrong colors. I'm sorry I'm wearing green tonight, guys. But Commissioner Ramsey really wanted to honor everybody here. You know, Tomball School Board means a lot to us, especially here in Precinct 3. It's one of our strongest boards out this way between Tomball and Klein. You guys always run such a close race of school districts just doing it right. And coming out here to have leadership for tomorrow's Tomball, and I get to actually present these proclamations to some of these young ones that actually are around my age, getting out here and actually serving on this board, either shows my age or it's great to see either which way. The Honorable Harris County Precinct 3 Commissioner Thomas Ramsey hereby recognizes for the service of Tomball ISD the appreciation for the month of January for the Appreciation Month. I'm trying to shorten it, ma'am. The Tomball Board of Trustees is unwavering commitment to foster an educational experience for students in our community is truly making the district a great place to live and learn. Thank you for your generous giving of your time, talent to the board and to serve the faculty and students and the families. We wish you on continued success, Harris County Precinct 3. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you each get one. Nice.
It's okay. Thank you for coming. We appreciate it.
Appreciate you, buddy. Thank you, sir.
Oh, you'd like a photograph? Absolutely. As my mic is on, you all heard
Landon,
that.
you want these in the picture? You want these in the picture?
You want them to hold it? I'll wait. So this concludes the recognition portion of the meeting, and if you came for that piece, this might be the time that you would like to exit. We will not hold that against you. You're always welcome to come and stay, but we understand it's a long night. Moving on to the reports for this evening. Thank you, ladies. The reports for this evening, we have two reports. The first one, I'm very excited to have two individuals, two gentlemen that were a part of our steering committee. These two community members came to every one of the committee meetings that we had and were very participatory in the process. So we have the Bond 2025 Steering Committee update. Our very own Dr. Stephen Gutierrez, Chief Operating Officer, and Zach Bowles, Chief Financial Officer, will lead us into this conversation. And again, thank you, gentlemen. I understand we had a third that had a schedule conflict. We are so happy to have you both here to talk about your lens as a committee member.
And if I could, let's hold questions as a board until maybe the end, just out of respect for our community members. And there's a high chance that they might have the answer to follow. So let's try that tonight, and we'll see how it goes. Thank you.
Awesome. Good evening, President Pratt, Dr. Salazar-Zamora, members of the board, cabinet, and guests. I'm here tonight with two members of our committee for the Bond 2025 Steering Committee. And so the intent of this presentation is to give the board an opportunity to discuss this information, to provide an overview. I will introduce my guests here shortly in a minute. Again, this should serve as a foundation, some background context for future discussions with the board. Again, to start with the beginning first, start with the end in mind. The steering committee did recommend a bond package containing up to 5 propositions listed below. Prop A being a general purpose, which you see those items listed below: new schools, facilities, infrastructure, transportation.
It has not projected on our, give us just a minute so we can have the visual following.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Dr. Flores. Get that PowerPoint up and we're good to go. We have the expert coming. This is a play-by-play. Oh, there we go. Oh, you just had to enter the room. And
All right.
It worked.
Awesome. So again, just to review here, the committee did recommend a bond package containing up to 5 propositions. Those are listed below: A, a general purpose; B, for technology for staff and students; C, athletic upgrades for facilities greater than 1,000 capacity; Prop D, Tomball West High School and auditorium; and Prop E, multi-use facilities at each high school. So that's an overview. How did we get there? We had a bond steering committee. We had a series of meetings held at the Tomball Event Center. This committee was comprised of 25 members, many that were appointed or selected members of the board and additional staff. This was primarily parents and community members. So you see 16 parents and 9 staff representing different departments and divisions. We did have professional facilitation of this committee, Dr. Brian Woods. He's a former superintendent at Northside ISD. He is the current executive director of advocacy for TASA. And then without further ado, I know the board really encourages community and parent participation. And so again, as the majority of the members on the committee, I do have 2 representatives here. Mr. Chris Sampson, he's a parent of 3 students in the district, Grand Oaks Elementary and Tomball High School, as well as Gary Boudreau, community member. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our committee members to share a little bit more about the process and their perspective as committee members.
Yes, sir. Hi, I'm Gary Boudreau. First of all, thanks for nominating me to do this, Mr. Mistravic. I appreciate it. This is a great learning opportunity for me. I've been kind of around the perimeters of this place for a while, so I've enjoyed the experiences I've had, and I really appreciate the honor to be able to be here to assist with you. I have a granddaughter at Lakewood, and I've had 3 granddaughters. Three granddaughters. I've gone through Tomball Memorial as well. So we live here because of this organization, Tomball Schools. We chose this to live here. My daughter did so that's who is speaking in front of you. And we've worked diligently for things in this district. So it's an honor. As you see ahead of you here, this is kind of the discussion of topics and how we progressed through things. Provides an overview of what was presented at each committee meeting. I have to commend the staff members, Dr. Gutierrez, Dr. Webb, and all the others of their succinct presentations. I really want to thank Zach Bowles for giving us a good physical presentation. It solidified my belief that this is a conservative-minded, spend a dollar, measure it twice before you spend it kind of organization. You know, it's all about the future of this organization. So in the first meeting, like you said, we heard about the demographics of what and the trends in growth and everything. And I was very impressed with the fact that you are looking at that growth component, because you've been growing quite quickly, a lot quicker than you even expected, those of you who have been on the board for a while. But I got the perspective that growth is maybe not as fast as it once was. You will continue to grow in certain geographic areas, and you are attuned to that, if you will. So we also got a good briefing on district debt management. We also got a good briefing on what the needs assessment from each of the leaders and the administrative staff. That was very helpful. In the second session, we reviewed the previous session, of course, and did the needs assessment, particularly in CTE. And we also looked at co-curricular and athletics and fine arts. And we did a needs assessment on safety, security, technology, transportation, maintenance and environmental services, and then there was facilitated work groups. Those are very helpful. We had a diverse group of people in each of our tables. That was very nice to have. I've sat next to one of the coaches, I sat next to another administration person. They could help me with the blind spots, i.e. the areas I didn't know about the district. So it helped make a better discussion, if you will, when we started going, what about Memorial? What about the middle schools? What about the elementary schools? What about the future needs and where those placements are? So that helped. So the administration presented those important needs assessments and information across the instructional and operational areas, which was very helpful. Each presentation, committee members had an opportunity to discuss within their groups and ask questions of administration, and we did ask questions, pointed questions sometimes. Zach, when I raised my hand, I see Zach kind of like, oh no, not him again, But we asked those pointed questions. We wanted to know those kind of things. Again, to build that portfolio knowledge we needed to help. So, and as committee members, we were tasked to use our experience and perspective. We each came from different places, different organization. I've been retired for 20 years, but I've been I managed a couple of not-for-profits. I do a little political work, and very active in my own church. So we bring those values and those learnings, if you will, to this conversation. And I think that was the intent of the design, to bring the varied aspects to this thing. Those people who are not intimate, and bring that outside perspective and being sensitive to other areas. So we were a diverse group. So anyway, I've made a couple of friends out of the deal too. People that are sitting next to me, administrators, et cetera. So we appreciated that opportunity. So, Dr. Harris.
All right, after we presented all of the information, as was mentioned, the needs assessment, the various areas. For Prop A, there were 14 projects that were presented. Zach also broke down the law that is required for bond propositions. And so based on that information was presented in the law, we had 14 propositions here that I'm going to review briefly. So this would be elementary 13 plus land and site development. Dr. Webb gave a presentation about CTE program expansion, Early Excellence Academy down in the south to match what we have on the north side, a new Tomball Intermediate campus coupled with program expansion. So Dr. Webb presented information about special services at the current Connections Academy. And so that would not allow us an opportunity to serve students, our own students here. And so we could use two campuses, use our current TIS for program expansion of that model and that program, and then utilize current district land that we already own for a potential new site for Tomball Intermediate. Also, we shared information regarding safety and security upgrades that were not included in current grant funds. There was lots of discussion we'll get to for facility infrastructure replacements and renovation, campus revitalization, and expansion of transportation center, including parking in the existing building envelope to accommodate all of the staff. Athletic upgrades for specific facilities, an elementary refresh, turning those into more of a STEAM lab, Connections Academy with the movement of the programs to TIS that allows for some possible renovation and expansion opportunities for that facility, fine arts upgrades and updates for equipment, instruments, uniforms, as well as fleet additions, buses, white fleet, all of that replacement. So all of these were 14 projects that the committee prioritized. In addition to those 14 in Proposition A, we did have 4 additional propositions. Those would be B, C, D, and E for technology, athletic upgrades and auditorium, and multi-use as discussed earlier. So I'm going to turn this back over to Mr. Sampson here to discuss the next piece.
Appreciate it. All right. Like I say, my name is Chris Sampson. I'm a former Major League pitcher for the Houston Astros, current resident in Tomball community. With my wife and I, we have 3 boys. One is a junior at Tomball High School who was part of the Tomball Baseball State Championship last year, that run. We have a freshman at Tomball High School, and we have a 2nd grader, which is at Grand Oaks Elementary here just across the street there, or at the new one. So during the last meeting, we all the information was presented, and it was a lot of information, right? It was quite a bit, and then we broke it down to the propositions. Proposition A, I think, had like 14 things on it to when we need to discuss and make a priority. So we kind of broke into discussion groups, prioritized those. As you can see, I don't know if it's on there. How do I change this? There we go, right there. So. As you can see, the first one that we all prioritized in Proposition A was the facility infrastructure replacements. And I'm speaking in the eyes of a lens through a father, right? So when I send my sons to school, I want to make sure, is that school conducive for learning? Is it a good environment to learn in, right? So if it is an older, if it does have older infrastructure, old AC units, is the roof going to start leaking? Those are just a couple of items that we talked about, right? Those absolutely need to be replaced just because we all know how hot it gets here. If an AC unit gets out, it is not really a conducive learning environment for our students. So that was kind of number one. Number two, which could have been one or two, is safety and security upgrades. As a father, when I send my boys to school, I want to make sure they are safe and secure. So if any upgraded security measures needed to take place, that's a huge priority. And I think probably I could speak for all parents in that regard as well. And then also I think just the third one that we prioritized was campus revitalization. I said that right. Thank goodness. I've been struggling with that all day. Revitalization, okay? Just give some of those older campuses kind of a facelift, right? When I played baseball, we always had a saying in the clubhouse, like, hey man, if you look good, you feel good. If you feel good, you're gonna play good, right? So I would love for teachers included, as well as students, to walk into that campus with maybe a new facelift, right? They're going to walk out with, have a little sense of pride. It's going to show that Tomball, in my opinion, Tomball ISD cares about them, right? So if they think, hey, this campus looks good, they got a new facelift, then they're going to feel good. If they feel good, they're going to learn good, right? And teachers are going to teach good. So I think that would go a long way. Just to name a few, the top 3, in my opinion, in the Proposition A. Okay, moving on to the other propositions. Let me turn my page here. As you can see, what our meetings voted on was the multi-use facility, ranked number 1. Okay, this to me, as having 3 student athletes, it's a huge deal. I think during the discussions for the multi-use facilities, it was brought up that there was over 100 days that were missed in practices due to the new heat mandates that now we have on us, as well as we all know how much it rains here, and lightning, so we can't really get outside and practice with those. But if we had that indoor multi-use facilities for all sports, I'm not just talking about just a single sport. This could be utilized for all sports, right? So that's just 100 days, in my opinion, that these athletes are missing out on their education. And I said education. I know it's for sports. I know it's for athletics, okay, mainly. But there's a lot of things that athletes can learn, all right, by participating in those sports. And those things are valuable life lessons, okay? I know from experience. Athletics teaches you teamwork, okay? Everybody here in their current job has to know how to work with others. We got to have a sense of teamwork. We have to have accountability, right? It teaches you accountability. It teaches athletes communication. It teaches us leadership. okay? Going back to accountability, we just heard the football coaches and all these other coaches up here praising their athletes. What did they bring up? Academics, right? Academics. It holds these athletes accountable to study hard, make the good grades, to be able to be there for their teammates, okay? It also teaches them discipline, okay? All qualities needed as soon as they graduate high school to go out into the workplace, the workforce, even in college, right? To be able to go into the workplace and have a successful career, whatever they choose to do, okay? It doesn't matter what they choose to do, because those items right there are going to be able to, they're going to be able to take that with them, right? And to miss 100 days of being able to develop and learn those skills. It takes time to learn these skills. It doesn't happen overnight. It's not if you have it, you have it, right? These have to be learned, okay? And missing 100 days, I think we're doing the athletes a disservice, especially with the new heat mandates. And then we talked about during the multi-use facility, the Dallas Metroplex area, just for example. Okay, they have over 100 of these indoor multi-use facilities that they are utilizing in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. All right, and I don't know if you guys are aware of this or whatever, but in not just baseball, not just football, but in all sports, the Dallas Metroplex area has been a mainstay in state championship runs year after year after year. Besides last year, Tomball winning the state championship in baseball, it was 6-7 years the Dallas Metroplex area was a mainstay in state championships. All right, and they have over 100 of these indoor facilities. They don't have to miss a practice. Okay, which I think in Tomball, not just baseball, not just football, but all sports, we all consistently make deep runs into the playoffs every single year. Okay, I'm a firm believer that this multi-use facility, this indoor facility, we can get back to those 100 days, right? I firmly believe that would be the difference maker for our student athletes to be able to, hang on. Yeah, sorry, I got sidetracked there. I was thinking about something else. But anyway, that would be a difference maker to make Tomball High School, Tomball ISD, not just Tomball High School, Tomball ISD, a state powerhouse. Not only a state powerhouse, but also a national ranked powerhouse. I firmly believe that would be a difference maker. So, again, I've got a second grader coming up all the way through here, so I'm going to be here for a while. So I would love, as a father, as a parent, to have Tomball ISD a national ranked powerhouse. Thank you.
I think the themes are pretty consistent. I think Chris just gave you what's on the board now, what his theme is, if we will, about the multi-use facilities. We also, our thing was, in our tables, was taking care of the older facilities. Let's make sure we anchor, I call it anchoring the base. Make sure the base is what we believe should occur in Tomball ISD. We prefer to, we show that we're an organization of excellence. Let's keep that trend even in our facilities. As Chris indicated, we don't want them dragging in there kind of like, oh, here's this nasty old building. You got some challenges, and I think you've identified those, and you'll have great discussions about that. So maintaining well what we currently have, and then look more towards planning that future. As we said, that the growth is there, but it's kind of like this. So let's do that. And remember, we're educators. We're educating the total students, so to produce the best kids, best students we can to put out in this world.
All right. I'm sorry, I asked Dr. Gutierrez if I could sneak in here real quick. I did forget to mention on my paper, that this multi-use, I know I spoke a lot on the athletics, but not just athletics, but this would have a spot for the band to go practice. This would have a spot for cheerleading, volleyball's already indoors, but soccer, okay? But it's not, I don't want to harp on just baseball and football just because I have boy athletes, but this is for all. The liberal arts community, everyone could make use of this to get their work in, to get their practice and practice in. So I just wanted to share that with you guys.
Thanks.
Awesome. Lastly, just one little nuance piece, as Zach was laying out the laws, how it's required for the propositions. There are some upgrades that are needed both at Memorial and at Tomball High School. Let's use the turf, for example. But because Cougar Country Stadium has over 1,000 seats, that must be separated into a separate proposition. And so there was a significant amount of conversation about should we remove any project from Memorial and also add that in Prop A. It was really just an understanding if for some reason, we do hope, one, if it makes it as a separate proposition, that voters would support it, but it would be a recognition that potentially if the voters don't support through a bond, we would need to, as a district, step up to ensure that the facilities at Tomball High School would be on a level playing field, if you will, with those across the district at Tomball West and at Tomball Memorial. And so that was a point of discussion that I wanted to just make sure that the board was made aware of that. We can discuss that for further. At this point, we are open, the three of us are open for any questions the board may have.
Hey, Dr. Z, can you just comment on this presentation versus the follow-on and what the differences are?
Yes.
So if there's deep questions,
Correct.
we can cover them now or save them for later. Can you talk about that?
Thank you, Dr. Pratt. So the difference is we really wanted this opportunity to be from our three, which ended up being, of course, two tonight, committee members, giving you the lens of what they went through, the process, you heard the dialogue, the people they met, the conversations they heard, the presentations that were given, to hear from the lens of non-staff members. Later on this evening, we will have an in-depth conversation from staff members about not necessarily where our committee, again, knowing that they're an advisory committee, they have given us advisement from that group, from those 25 individuals of what they would like to see happen, share with you additional information. Unfortunately, it's not very different than our own homes. We have a budget. What you need, what you want may exceed what the budget is, and we are faced with the same thing. The needs and wants of this bond are higher than what we have traditionally done, which is this board, this community has a history of working to ensure that a bond does not exceed, so that we don't have challenges when it comes to tax rate, excuse me, the word was failing me. We wanted to make sure that there would not be a tax rate increase, which is what we've done in the 2017 bond and the following bond. And this, again, we will talk to you about in visiting. Zach has had multiple meetings with bond counsel to ensure what is our max, if you chose to go there, regarding not having a tax rate increase. And that's what we've traditionally done as a district. But even that, our needs and our wants exceed even that amount. And so we'll have a more in-depth conversation, and staff members will certainly be here to provide all of the answers that we can. But this portion is really to talk about the process for both Mr. Boudreau and Mr. Sampson have done an exceptional job. I saw their interactions in three of the meetings from start to finish. So you have two great representatives of what the lens of a community member, stakeholder, parent, what their lens looks like. So the difference is really questioning them about the process. This evening, we will take quite a bit of time beyond a report, digging into what does this board, looking at the advisement, hearing from administration, what is it that you want to prioritize and how do we choose to do this? And it's not an easy task, it never is, but I think that in past bonds you've proven, the community has seen that we've done what we've said we're going to do. We have many examples around us. And so then, of course, getting you to calling for a bond if you so choose at the February board meeting for a May 3rd bond election. That was a long answer.
Thank you.
Sorry.
So at this time, do any board members have any questions to Mr. Boudreau or Mr. Sampson regarding the committee and how it functioned and ultimately the outcome, knowing we're going to have a deep dive session with the superintendent on all the details a little bit later?
Yeah, I'll jump out there. Is it on?
You're on.
Okay, I'll jump out there, Michael. So anyone can field it, but Mr. Boudreau, you kind of addressed it already, so it's kind of a multi-layered question. When I look at the prioritization, I see that the Tomball TIS relocation is high in the prioritization in Prop A. And I noticed that elementary number 13 is substantially lower, okay? So you talked a little bit about growth, so I could see how elementary 13 might be lower. You've talked a little bit about the current facilities being something that makes people proud and go forward, so maybe that's the replacement of TIS. But then I also noticed that down in, I guess it's Prop B, which hit the third place, technology upgrades. So that's not necessarily aesthetically making something newer, but it's actually improving the connectivity within the district, the security, the internet security, the digital security within the district. So I guess I'm a little bit curious why, just kind of confirm or tell me why you think the replacement of TIS is higher than the elementary, which would be there for growth, and why you think the committee deprioritized technology updates vis-a-vis these other items.
I'll speak to the updates first. That was one of the parting shots of the meeting, is that there was a realization that technology, typical of technology, it expires after every 5, 8, 10 years. There's a reality there that you guys will be dealing with, that this stuff is sunsetting, and you're going to have to deal with it, okay? We understood that at the end. That was just kind of the parting shot by the facilitator. I agree. It's generally people don't have a good taste in their mouth for having to buy new technology every 4 or 5 years, particularly when you're borrowing money on it, and it sunsets and you're still paying for it. How do you manage that process? I think that was some of it. As far as the other two organizations, TIS and Elementary 13, some of that was geography. Somebody like me not knowing, okay, where are you going to put that elementary? And matter of fact, we asked Zach in the last meeting, where are you going to put that? Well, probably north of 99. I get that, okay? Now, how do you do that? And then what about TIS? I don't know what TIS really does. I hired the presentation, but I've slept 3 or 4 times since that presentation. So some of that is, not knowing the district as intimately, say, as Dr. Webb or Senator Wolf or whatever. So I think that factored into it. I think there's also a concern that when we go to the voters, we have to push this we have to do some artful stick handling, as our partners up north say, as to how you're going to communicate what you're asking for. We've seen previous bonds get bombed by the voters. So how do you have that conversation as to what's really, really needed versus, how do we and continue our road through excellence? And how do you make that happen? As I said earlier, I'm adverse to debt. I'm a Dave Ramsey guy, okay? I went through Bryce's CFP program, learned a lot about that kind of stuff. And the more debt you carry, you're paying long-term money on short-term things sometimes. So how do you balance all of those things? That's my concern. And then there was a lot of discussion around buses and transportation, to add to your question. So I don't mean to take up so much time, but I'm really concerned about that white fleet and the cost of buses and what the plans are for replacing a $180,000 piece of equipment, and how many you have and how are you going to expand that. So that's a challenge you're going to have. So that's kind of a lot of what came out of the thing. The other thing on the elementary, one thing said, well, if you don't do the elementary now, at least go buy the land. Land's not getting cheaper. Interest rates are going up. How are you going to balance that issue? Zach can really speak eloquently to that conversation. So that's kind of where I'm coming. Sorry to go beyond what your question was, but I think you got a little snapshot of what was being said. Okay?
Thank you.
Tina, you have your light on. Go next. No? Okay. Jennifer?
I'll go.
Oh, Mark? Okay. Go ahead.
Related question, did the committee tour TIS?
I wish we had. That, if we do this in the future, let's make sure we do those kind of things. Jump on one of those $180,000 buses and go look at this stuff. Okay, because now I'm going to do a leadership academy because I don't know where these things are and what they do. Okay, and that would help. That would have helped, at least for those who are not district-related people.
We didn't take a tour of the facility, but we did present the information demographic related, and also did have the principal, also Dr. Marciano was part of that. So we did have staff available to share what that facility experience feels like.
Good question.
Follow up, was the marketability of the current TIS discussed in the equation of that?
Yes, I would have just added with Mr. Boudreau's response, there was quite a bit of conversation about some of our older facilities, right? Everyone appreciates the new and thinks that we build wonderful facilities, but there was definitely an acknowledgement that some of our older facilities do need some upgrades, some renovations, whether it be furniture or just a facelift that was put earlier. That was a big part of the conversation by and large, and I think you see that reflected in the rankings.
I think Mark had questions.
First of all, I'd like to thank Gary, you and Chris for coming up and presenting to the board, and also for being on the committee. And I thank all the people that are in our community that agreed to be on the committee and worked on it. Appreciate all the hard work that you guys did and the time that you contributed. Question I have is more about the process, and you kind of alluded to it a little bit, but can you kind of give a summary of what went well and what could we do different or better?
I was a little bit impressed by the organization of the administration. The administration was attentive, but not interfering, if you will. They were there. They wanted to make sure that what they presented was addressed, okay? But they didn't interfere. They answered our questions honestly, and that was very important. I think the process was a little hurried. I mean, we got a short time window to get to May 3rd. I personally like to have more time. Maybe my compadres may not have wanted to spend more time. I get it. At least you fed us well. But it was very frank and earnest, and I appreciated that. Like I said earlier, I asked Zach some pretty pointed questions, and he answered them. And because I wanted to know those things. It's a question of building my mind portfolio. So I think it's good. I think touring a facility, or at least for those people that are not familiar with, intimate is with Tomball's, the facilities you have, would have been helpful. Because a lot of acronyms are thrown around, but Dr. Webb and those guys, it's second nature for you guys. It's not for me, okay? TIS didn't mean anything. It means something to Ms. Kratke, obviously. So, and it means something to all of you board members. So that would have helped the discussion. Could have asked better questions about those kind of things. So the timeline was a little short. Maybe handouts for, what is TIS, what is, I was really impressed with some of the uses of the Baker Hughes facility. I like that concept as well. So using assets well. Mark, I hope that answered your questions.
If I could add a little bit to the process, going through the process of the 3 meetings that I attended, it was basically, we had these slides coming up, and each board member, got to educate us, and me as a parent, and the other 16 of us in there. And then when that presenter was done, our small group table got together. We discussed everything. We kind of prioritized a little bit right there based on what we had just learned, wrote down any questions we had, what we liked, what we didn't like, and then we had a speaker from each table stand up and it was kind of open discussion. If we had questions, each board member was right there to answer our questions and educate us even further.
Hey, Michael, real quick. Jennifer, you asked about the markability of TIS. Were you thinking about like selling it? Is that what you? Yeah. So I think on that list, what you'll see is there's the repurposing of the current Main Street campus, and that would be that if you relocated the intermediate school, then you would be able to utilize that Main Street campus for the repurposing for special services.
Okay.
Or SPED, not special services, but SPED.
My fear is that voters may not want to pass it if they don't know where the new TI, because we learned before that driving distance really matters to our parents. So I worry that they perhaps wouldn't approve it on the ballot if they don't know, if it's a big question of where the new location is going to be. So I don't know if that was discussed amongst the parents or not.
That specific topic didn't come up really when we looked at Dr. Webb's plan for program expansion, the way that TIS is laid out, the age of that facility. It really, the connection just came together that that facility, if we were built somewhere else, would be perfect for the program expansions that we mentioned, just the layout, the separate buildings. Another addition that did come up, though, was the impact of traffic, what that would do on Main Street, right, removing that facility, because I know if you've sat in that traffic or just tried to get to the other side of town in the morning or afternoon, that was a big part of discussion down there. So,
were there any parents on the committee who has a child at TIS or in the feeder zone for TIS?
Yes, I know definitively at least one.
Mr. Sampson.
We can double check.
Mr. Sampson, right there.
Both my older boys went through Tomball Intermediate.
And the principal was present as part of the committee as well.
But there was a current parent, at least one parent that was on the committee.
And I know I've had two go through TIS, and many parents that I know now would be thrilled with a new intermediate school for all of their students at a different location. I mean, they were a little disappointed that we weren't getting the one in a couple of years, so they would be extremely excited for that.
Any additional questions for either Dr. Gutierrez or our guests tonight, Mr. Boudreau and Mr. Sampson? We certainly want to thank you, gentlemen, for your commitment to our district and continued support. Thank you.
Thank you.
You represented the committee well. Gold star. Continuing with Dr. Gutierrez, he has the next report, and that is a TransFinder overview, what I call, I guess, the next iteration of what we currently have. So we're excited about continuing with progress, which is something our district is known for. Very excited about what this looks like moving forward.
All right. Again, President Pratt, Dr. Salazar-Zamora, members of the board. This is an update on TransFinder. Again, just to start with an overview, and then we'll discuss some of the details. This is to provide an overview of the action item that will be before you tomorrow for purchasing student management and bus tracking software via TransFinder. This is a 5-year agreement. I know that a dollar amount seems really large. We'll have some discussion of what that looks like spread over, but it is just over $1.2 million. An important note, our current smart tag system will no longer be supported by our routing software, which is TransFinder, after June 30th. And so TransFinder is StopFinder and Wayfinder platforms. Those are two products under TransFinder. Would provide greater security, parental controls, and communication and end user enhancements. So it'll be like a smart tag plus, if you will. All right, to know where we're going, it's important that we know where we've been. So previously, student management and bus fleet management was done through a very manual, rudimentary process. And so in 2020, we started the Smart Tag product, and that was really a really big innovation to take us from pencil and paper to an opportunity where parents could digitally know that their student was on the bus or what time they will be coming home. And so, as I mentioned, we currently use TransFinder. It is the premier routing software solution used by many across the state and the country. And so, TransFinder was essentially we were using a third-party smart tag with TransFinder. And so, they launched their product and shockingly no longer wanted to support third-party vendors, which were basically their new competitors. And so actually for 1 year, give a special thank you to Sandy Dillman and her team, negotiated a 1-year temporary stopgap solution so we could use Smart Tag while we were going through this process of negotiating and working all of this out. And so, but after June 30th, we will not have a platform. So this action item is to extend that into this new iteration of this program. So let's talk about Wayfinder and what Wayfinder does and why we're selecting to go this way, other than after June 30th, we will no longer have a platform. So enhanced features, we use live time updates for parents and staff. Currently, if you're a user and a parent, you might get a notification that says the bus will be here in 20 minutes. That is a static update, basically giving you what it says on the route sheet. It should take 20 minutes to get there. You're going to get a notification once it leaves the bus barn. It'll be there in 20 minutes. That's not actually a real time. That's just saying on paper, this is what it means, but in real time, it doesn't account for the traffic jam or the accident or the cold weather. And so this will provide more real-time live updates for parents and staff. This is a big deal. Improved communication by eliminating the third party. Basically, we were using TransFinder as a middleman to communicate. We did find out we were having delays with our communication. So a message would take up to 40 to 45 minutes for it to get to a parent. Sometimes the student had already made their way home, and then they just received a notification about a delay in traffic. And so as a parent, that could be very confusing. We expect improved communication by eliminating the third party. With that communication, it allows for customizable communication by staff, so we can identify specific students within a neighborhood, within a specific grade level, as opposed to right now the entire bus may get a communication that is much more improved previously, so at least we'll be able to isolate it to a specific bus. We could even do that much more customizable on the staff end, and so that is an enhanced feature. This does allow for more parental controls for notification, so a parent has much more an opportunity to say how they want their communication, who gets communication. Also, this is a new feature, geofencing capabilities. Maybe you are in a large subdivision or you work nearby and you want to know when that bus, you can create the perimeter for your notification. So you say, okay, I want to know the minute that the bus crosses the threshold of my subdivision, so I know I can walk to the corner and be there in time, or I can leave my place of work and get my student and head back, right? And so this is a new feature that is not available in Smart Tag. I mentioned Wayfinder. This is a turn-by-turn direction software within TransFinder for drivers. This again allows for real-time traffic conditions to be displayed for drivers as opposed to a static this is what it looks like in theory on paper, and sometimes we have noticed some of those in theory this should work on a piece of paper on a map, take drivers down a very tight or dangerous road to be able to make a U-turn, for example. And so this Wayfinder software within TransFinder also would be an addition, end user enhancement for our drivers. So that would be an safety feature there. All right, so I mentioned the price tag, the $1.2 million essentially. This is a 5-year agreement. Our legal counsel did review this as well. Essentially, we do have an opportunity after 2 years for an early exit for a very nominal fee. And so for some reason, if this did not work out, and I know some folks may have apprehension of 5-year deals, a really long time to enter an agreement. TransFinder has been around for a really long time, so I don't believe that they're a company that is going to disappear. Those districts who have made the switch to TransFinder, Wayfinder have been extremely pleased, and Sandy and her team have visited with those individuals to know this is a good product. So one, we do have protections in the contract for the district. Hopefully we never have to use those, but those do exist. And so the bulk of this contract is for initial purchases for hardware and for software. It does require new tablets, new card readers on the buses. If this is approved, we'll go ahead and initiate that purchase order so those items can be purchased. We'll have initial install on buses over spring break. We will do a soft rollout, a pilot, if you will, to make sure we work all the kinks out, and we'll be ready to roll this program out beginning next school year in the fall. Any questions regarding this item that will be in front of you tomorrow?
I'll go first. Oh, you want to go first? Go ahead.
We just started with Smart Tag 4 years ago, right?
That is correct. Yes.
So the hardware is not very old. Is there any other options of services that would utilize the hardware that we already invested in just 4 years ago?
So from a technology standpoint, 4 years is actually a lot older than you think. And so those tablets, some of those readers are already at end of life and need replacement. So it's actually an optimal time to do that. But it's a great question.
Dr. Z, what are we spending on Smart Tag today on an annual basis? Is this we're spending this anyway? This is not incremental to?
Correct. It is a comparable cost with what we consider to be an advanced service. I love the fact that our parents could have so much more information, and we know it's important, right? You have your child on a bus, there's perhaps inclement weather, there are other challenges that we're unaware of, an accident or whatnot, not involving the bus, but in the community, or perhaps with the bus, right? It just being able to let our parents know in real time, which I think people have somewhat become accustomed to in many ways, right? We do have a lot of tools in which we utilize in our daily lives to make things easier, and this is a way in which I think we are keeping up with the advancements that technology allows us to. So excited about that opportunity and have had great success with Smart Tag. I recall that meeting in which we had that conversation. It was a very lively conversation.
It was.
Several years ago, and we've had a lot of success after educating everybody and really just taking that leap of faith, because that was the first time we had done something like that. This is, I think, the next iteration, but great questions.
So let's talk about, so Smart Tag is done. We after June 30th, we don't have a platform.
That is
So
correct.
even
Now,
if
Smart Tag as a company may exist, but TransFinder no longer supports third parties. So
Okay, so there's this nuance
done
of
for us.
TransFinder and Smart Tag that you're highlighting. Okay, so we got to do something, right?
Correct.
And if it's an equivalent spend, we're just stepping into a software that's got more sophisticated student management information and fleet management information.
Correct.
So let's talk about the parent experience for a second. So today we know that there's a bit of a lag from the time, let's just say there's a weather issue or there's a traffic issue, which has delayed that bus on that route. And we've gotten feedback that it's not real time. Can you talk a little bit more about what real time means with TransFinder? Are we using Google Maps? Are we using some technology that says, hey, this stretch of the road is red, let's launch and that means a 5-minute delay, let's launch a text or an email. Can you talk a little bit about the parent experience as we step into potentially TransFinder?
Absolutely. So it would be much more, like you mentioned, a real-time using GPS software that's loaded onto the software, the hardware that's on the bus. And so we're using that to track the bus. So from our end, we'll know exactly where that bus is. Every single one of our buses on a large screen, our transportation team will be able to tell you exactly where that bus and who's on the bus. Currently, our parents right now can sign up for notifications to allow them to let them know that their child, the bus is to pick them up or it will be on the way to pick them up. They can log onto the portal and know that the child was picked up. The new system will allow much more, a greater flexibility for parents to see what staff is seeing with some security protocols to know exactly where that child is much more in real time. Our communication, our staff still has to initiate that that delay. For example, hey, there's been an accident, unrelated bus accident. We're going to be 30 minutes that our dispatchers are looking at the screens in real time. We'll send the communication, but again, TransFinder, we're communicating with one platform, one software system. So we were seeing some delays upwards of 30, 45 minutes for a message to go through just communication issues. And so we should see a much more streamlined, instantaneous communication, customizable by staff to say, okay, half the bus has already been deboarded, so I don't need to send to them and cause anxiety for those parents who are not on the bus. Let's send it to this half. And so much more flexibility, customization, instantaneous communication.
Next experience, the student experience. Today we have identification. We've got a lanyard, we've got an identification card. Are we still utilizing that same? So the habit that we've created, are we continuing with that? It's just a different card or different something that's tying to TransFinder?
Absolutely. The student experience is virtually the same.
Okay.
What we've tried to do is add more functionality to that card so it serves a purpose, right? If you just say put your ID on, but it doesn't have any meaning, this allows obviously for safety and security, and our administrators, that's an easy option to know you belong here or you don't. If you're going to the library or in the cafeteria through the lunch line, we have multi-uses for that card. So for the students, their experience will not change.
Okay. Staff experience. So Sandy's here, right?
Yes.
Okay. What does Sandy think, by the way? Are you thumbs up on this, Sandy?
Sandy, thumbs up?
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sandy coming in bringing the
Two
big
thumbs up.
So let's talk about that staff experience for a second, though. So does the campus principal have any part once that child is on the bus? Is it all Sandy's team that then is initiating the communications? Help me understand the staff and campus principal part of this.
It's a great question. Like all great things in Tomball, it's a collaborative effort, right? So it doesn't just rely on one team or one person. And so the principal or administrator is working with transportation staff. That's Sandy, that's the dispatchers. And so the job doesn't end once they leave and they get on the bus, tag you're it. The administrators also have access to a portal and they can see their buses that are associated to their campus. So they'll be able to see in real time where those buses are. And we'll be able to know, is Johnny still on that bus? Sometimes that's a frequent question from parents. And so staff, whether it be at the campus or at the transportation center, can answer that question.
Okay. Last question for me on the staff experience. So the burden really is, and maybe it hasn't shifted to Sandy and her team, but the burden is very much on our transportation team to really be the communicators to where our students are. And I don't know if that's more training, more people, or if we're just continuing to do what we've been doing. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So that responsibility of communication once they're on the bus, still rests with transportation. And so, but again, working in coordination with all of the players that are associated with the students, we're involved and have access to that information, but transportation will be the key person in communicating. They have eyes on the road. They're communicating with our dispatchers who have access to the entire team, to us at central office. And so they will be the initiators and sort of the eyes on the road, but we all work together to make sure our students get to and from school safely.
Yeah, so I think I probably have more comments than anything else, but one question I did have, Stephen, is there any demo that you could send us a link to that shows us kind of the parent interface, what it would look like?
Yes, actually, if you go to transfinder.com, so we could certainly do that, but if anyone is interested, there are all of the platforms, whether it be Wayfinder, StopFinder, Route Builder, all of that has a very parent-friendly interface pamphlet. There are some videos to use. We can certainly send links prior to tomorrow's vote.
We'll send you some information
Yeah,
via
send a
email.
link.
Absolutely.
So I guess my comments are, like you started talking about this, Martha. we started with Smart Tag, and that was a big conversation. It was a leap forward in utilizing technology for transportation,
Right.
vis-a-vis how it interfaces with the parent.
Correct.
I think now 4 years later, where we're at the end of life on a lot of our hardware, like you said, good time to make change if we're going to. It makes a lot of sense to take that next step because we've already been through Strategic Plan 2030. We know that we checked the committee has said, hey, we want to keep this technology in transportation,
Correct.
and we want to enhance it. So, as Stephen was talking, the vision came in my head. You get a UPS package and you go look on it and it says 5 stops away. It's got the little truck,
Right.
coming towards your house. And if people want to see that with their packages. So I think we're in a time now. People will really appreciate that vis-a-vis their child.
Correct.
So I think it checks the box on communication with our parents. It checks the box with the safety aspect. It's cost effective. We're spending about the same we would with Smart Tag. We're having to do end of life replacement on technology anyways. And it aligns with Strategic Plan 2030. So
Which is about innovation and moving forward with what we're currently doing. Not just to move forward, but if all the stars align and make sense, then it's a good time. So we were really excited. I'm looking forward to, I think there is no perfect, we understand that situation sometimes and things happen, but I think this will help us with some things that come up from time to time regarding concerns with transportation.
But let's just make sure though that we get enough support out of
Sure.
Wayfinder or
Sandy's on
Transponder,
that, right?
So
Sandy
that,
thumbs
so
up.
that they'll help us with the implementation.
Yes.
And successful implementation.
Success, I like that. I like those two words together. Successful implementation, which is what we're planning to achieve. All right. Any additional questions or thoughts or comments before we let Dr. Gutierrez off the hot seat?
I just have a quick comment. I know that with the current system that we have, there's been, this last year in particular, a lot of frustration from parents with the slow communication that, they'll get the information after the fact. And so they've been very, very frustrated. So if this will do everything that it says it will do, I think it'll help eliminate some of that frustration. And I know hopefully we will roll it out very, very well.
That's the plan, absolutely.
That's the plan. Thank you for that.
I just have one question.
Yes.
Dr. G, could you go back to that last slide really quick? So the year one, that 510,000 will cover all of the hardware for every single one of our buses. And do you know about how many buses we have?
I believe right off the top of my head, we're looking at 200.
Oh, okay.
I do have one more quick question. Why does the price go up in year 5 and it's lower in year 2?
If you notice, there is a little bit of an escalation each year, and so that just accounts for a little bit of a cost in doing business, if you will. The benefit to the district of securing a 5-year is that we secure as much as we can a fixed cost. And so for us, we recognize there is an incremental increase each year, but it is minimal compared to, we only do a 3-year deal, and we're really invested, and they jack up the price, twofold. And so this at least allows us to control some fixed costs and then continue negotiation after the 5th year.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Gutierrez. I appreciate your report. We have no public comment on agenda items, so Dr. Pratt, I'd like to move on to the review of the business agenda for tomorrow evening, January 14th.
Let's go.
All right, let's do this. We will start with, as we have this conversation about the agenda tomorrow evening, consent agenda items. I think this is a great example of when this board and administration attend events, we learn. It's all about growth and opportunities. And I believe it was at a TASB, Mr. McStravick, that you learned about the We the People competition. I am very happy to report that our students were, Dr. Webb was this first place in We the People, is that correct? Okay, so we have winners here in Tomball, Texas. Very excited about that. Our students we're asked if they can continue their legal studies, national finals of the We the People competition in Washington, D.C. for the dates that are listed. The next...
Dr. Z?
Yes.
the question I'd ask you, does the We the People align with our community values?
Thank you for that. In our, for those of you that aren't aware, we go over the president and vice president, so Dr. Pratt and Mr. Lewandowski, we meet to talk about the agenda and what that will look like. And one of the questions that was asked was, talk to me about We the People. And so we did a little bit more of a deeper dive and feel very much that it aligns with what we want our students to learn and improve upon, and very excited about the fact that not only did we compete, but we won. But, you know, truly, this isn't a program, legal studies, that we've had for many years. So when you consider the fact that our students are still relatively new at this, that's exceptional. So very proud of that. But thank you for that question. I think that's a great example of why we have the board that we have to talk about does this align with community expectations and things that we want our students to learn and grow in their learning. We also would like to have the Winter Guard International Percussion and World Championships attended by students at Tomball High School, and you see the dates that are listed there as well. And that pretty much completes the consent agenda items regarding, other than the traditional items regarding human talent. So moving into our considered agenda, the first item is not a stranger because we just spent the last few minutes talking about that. We would like for you to consider and approve the contract between Tomball ISD and TransFinder to provide bus routing hardware and software for a 5-year term in the amount of $1,203,748 using strategic plan dollars from 2030 and local funds. And again, thank you to Dr. Pratt and Mr. Lewandowski for talking about the fact that it might be best to have a report item to go over this so that you had full confidence and were able to get your questions answered. So thank you to the team that put that together. The next item is to approve some amendments to the water and wastewater service agreement with the MUD number 572, and I know that you had sufficient backup information regarding that. You have additional...
Dr. Z,
Yes,
so
sir.
I read it. It's good. It's got a lot of detail, a lot of red lines, which we've always appreciated.
Yeah,
So let's,
some more than others.
so let's net this out. So the question that I ask you, and I'll probably look a little left to Zach, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's just fine.
Net it out for me, Zach. What is this amendment, and is it good for Tomball ISD, or is this being driven by some other entity that we're succumbing to?
No, the amendment is definitely good for Tomball ISD. So when we constructed the Beckendorf complex, we installed our own water and wastewater treatment facilities. In that, we had excess capacity in which we could service and provide to neighboring, in this case, the MUD 572. And so the initial agreement in 2019 set us up as far as two pieces. We receive a connection fee, so when they bring on units that they're whether it's homes, the apartment complex, Chick-fil-A, Whataburger, there's a connection fee that goes along with that. In addition to that, where you have monthly usage fees. And so what we've been able to accomplish through this agreement, at this time, we've already received $2.4 million in connection fees. That's gone to repay the bond for the expense of building those facilities. But at the same time, we have those monthly usage fees that we're accounting for roughly $30,000 to $40,000 a month, depending upon the usage each month. It varies, but that goes to offset the operations of the facility itself. So we have a third party who, plant management company who manages everything for us, and so those usage fees go to offset that for us. So we've got the water, wastewater treatment plants to serve our needs for both the Beckendorf complex, as well as, from a wastewater treatment standpoint, the West complex, as well as generating a bit of revenue to come back to the district.
That was great. Thank you, Dr. Z.
Oh, very welcome.
So it's going to sound terrible, but I'm going to say it anyway. With water being on my mind this week, right?
Correct.
We are in control of our water as well as our wastewater. Based on our current agreements, we still maintain the prioritization of where our water and where and who receives the wastewater as well, right?
That's correct.
It's a selfish question, but I want to make sure that, we went out, there was nothing there. We created, our community bought a wastewater as well as freshwater treatment plant to serve our schools and our facilities. And I just want to make sure that we are protecting that.
Correct. Yes, sir. All the while using it as somewhat of an enterprise opportunity. Back to the point of the district, this board has always looked at ways in which we can provide what we need for our students. But if we're able to make additional dollars, I think that's very wise and very prudent of this board.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay,
And I guess to expand on that just a little bit, though, you were saying how the funds that come from the interconnect fees go back to reimburse bond. And so that's bond 2017?
Correct. It's 2017.
That's correct.
Yeah, so bond 2017, even though we may have spent it down, would actually have an increase over time as these connection fees come in, correct?
That's correct, and that then allows you to utilize those funds for additional purposes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Zach. Moving on, the next item, I think I'd like us to have a little more of a conversation about it. We don't necessarily have a report, but if you look, you do have a sheet and a memo from Jason Piazza, who is right here in our audience. And it is about continuing with what we just talked about in a way. When we think of TransFinder, going from SmartTag to TransFinder, that would be the one right there, the dollar amount. Okay, so everyone should have.
It's a single slide, it's a PowerPoint slide. It looks like this.
Correct. There you go. That's it. We had this conversation in this last report about taking something that we use in the district and making it better, right? Finding that next iteration of something. And when I think about some of the physical security systems that we have in our district, what does that next level look like? And so, Jason, if you don't mind making yourself available in a non-report fashion, I'd like you just to kind of talk to us about what you've put in the memo, hitting the highlights, and what you've provided to the board about physical security system upgrades from preferred technologies in the amount of $970,156 from our prior bond 2021 fund. So if you'll just kind of hit the highlights and then answer any questions, any and all questions
Yes, ma'am.
regarding this topic. We
All
would
right, thank you very
appreciate
much. Thank you, Dr. Salazar-Samora, President Pratt, Board of Trustees, Cabinet, for the opportunity to visit with you about this project this evening. What was presented is upgrades, continued upgrades to our physical security systems that we have implemented throughout our district. This particular item consists of 5 different activities. Those activities are a result of technology becoming responsible in July for the district's physical access control. So that would be the key fob access, card access to our district facilities. And so we went and evaluated the systems that we have, and after doing that evaluation, looked to, as Dr. Salazar-Samora said, look to move ourselves to the next level. First activity is replacing the access control software. The software we have has serviced the district well for a very long time. What we're looking to move to is a more modern application that would allow us to integrate the access control software with our account structures. So for example, when an employee leaves the district, their access to electronic tools, so access to eSchool, Schoology, their email, that all is part of an automated process. They leave, their access is removed. Currently, access control, that is a physical manual process. And so part of this project is to move to an application that would allow us to integrate those systems together. So when someone leaves, that is part of the exit process to ensure the safety and security of our facilities. The second activity is to replace the current security camera software or video management system. The system we have currently is a good performing system, but again, wanting to move that to the next level. The video management system that's proposed, it does come from the same manufacturer as the access control system, so that allows us that integration between those two platforms, allows campus leaders the ability to be proactive. So currently, If something occurs on a campus, teachers need to, or excuse me, campus leaders need to refer back to security camera footage. They're in a reactionary mode. They're looking at what happened 10 minutes ago, yesterday, a week ago. One of the things that we can do with an integrated platform is we can provide alerts in real time. So, for example, if someone goes into the kindergarten door at Canyon Point Elementary, we don't normally use the kindergarten door at Canyon Point Elementary during the instructional day. When that door opens, we can configure the software to basically alarm, send a notice and said, hey, somebody used this door. This is the badge that was used. This is the time that happened. If no badge was used, it would mark it as someone used a key. And then also send either a snippet of video or an image of who went through that door. And that can be provided in real time, again, to enhance the safety and security of our facilities, to provide that information when it happens, not what happened earlier this morning, or or a campus leader saying, I didn't even know that happened. Let me go back to the video. Next activity is our access control card readers, which is, as noted on the handout you have, is the door electronics. Our team went and checked every door in the district for proper function. One of the things that we are looking to move towards is a new standard for access control cards, integrating that with the employee's ID and then moving to a new standard. So one thing we looked at was moving to that standard would require the door hardware to be able to handle that standard. So our team went out to campuses, made checks, and determined that in many cases, the doors work fine. They accepted that new technology. But for example, at Tomball Elementary, 11 doors, the electronics are just too old. And so that is what that item is for, is to go into those individual doors, replace that board, that reader, on about 70 doors throughout the district. And that would be work that we would do ourselves, again, enhancing safety and security for our students. Next activity is back-end infrastructure to replace some of the back-end infrastructure components of the access control system, those door controllers that live in a closet or in the ceiling somewhere. Again, bringing those up to speed. Many of those door controllers are 15 to 20 years old, so we need to, some of those have reached their end of life. The next one, I'm not going to lie, we geek out about this one a little bit. It's for license plate readers for school buses. So what that is that 3 of those locations are specifically noted now. There's 2 that we're looking at for transportation. Those are in this project. At Tomball Innovation Center for school buses returning in the evening, Tomball Star Academy and Tomball High School with the new secure fencing put in. What that will do is that a school bus, if we register the license plate of the school bus rolls up to the license plate reader. The gate will then open because it recognizes that's a Tomball ISD school bus that we have registered in the software, rather than the driver having to potentially exit the vehicle with students in the vehicle to hit the badge to open the gate. And then the remaining items are just overhead project services, training, things of that nature. And then that last item of contingency, in a project of this scope, especially when we're dealing with hardware that could be 15, 20 years old. There are obviously things that we will not foresee, especially as we move to change some software out. Some of the access control equipment that is presently on campus may not take too kindly to getting its software replaced, just based off of age. It's very comfortable with how it's operating, and it may not continue to function. We may have to make some replacements. So we do want those funds there available so we can keep the project rolling. All right, any questions?
So Martha, I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Being president last year, of course, I was on the safety committee.
Right.
So we have, safety committee does a lot of work with respect to door checks and this type of thing. So one question I do have is the work that we're doing with respect to particularly the hardware, the infrastructure piece, which is a large portion of this spend.
Right.
I also want to make sure that at that time, to the extent we're going to upgrade the certain hardware, that we also look at the doors and the mechanisms themselves, right? To make sure that let's not upgrade the hardware the technology hardware and a
Right.
door that may need to be replaced later for another reason.
Correct.
So just want to make sure there's some coordination, because technology, I guess, took over from ancillary, so.
Yeah, no, and we will focus on that, and that is important. Anyone that has served on the safety committee knows that we talk about the challenges that come with that and the importance that come with that. And so, very good point. Very good. Thank you for that additional information. We really appreciate it.
All right, thank you very much.
It helps the board. Next item D is designate our very own Mark White. We do this every year, Assistant Superintendent of Accountability, as the alternate approver for TEA's web applications within the TEAL system, which helps us. A lot of the accounting or the information is routed through our TEAL system, and he manages that for us as a district. And then the last item is, again, sadly, I do this, it feels like every month, but it is a strong recommendation, as we have the others, that the Board of Education render a finding under Texas Administrative Code, section listed for that good cause did not exist as required under Texas Education Code is listed. And a sanction is for Aaron Trent. And just so you know, Mr. Trent has chosen to leave education as a profession and is going into a completely different profession, and therefore the sanction will not affect him. He's moved on to another job, and so we wish him the best. And that concludes the meeting for tomorrow evening. I turn the meeting back over to President Dr. Pratt.
Thank you, Dr. Z. So at this time, we have no public comment on non-agenda items either. We are not planning to go into closed session. So with that, we will move to board comments. And so if any board member at this time would like to make comments, I would ask you to keep them brief. And at this time, floor is open.
I would just like to thank everyone for being here and welcome you all back for the new year. And let's finish out strong and finish this semester out with great things. Thank you.
That's all I have too, is just tell everyone Happy New Year, welcome back. We have a little bit of back to school blues at our house, but we're getting in the groove of things. We hit the ground running. But it's a busy time of year, and so just Happy New Year.
I just want to ditto Amanda's comments and Happy New Year. Thank you all for the lovely gifts and the recognition, and let's finish the year strong.
Yeah, thank you everyone for the acknowledgement, the applause. It's very humbling. You guys do all the work, so we appreciate you and appreciate you appreciating us. So, and that belt buckle is cool.
Yep, the reactions. I wish I had the camera on this end. It took you a minute to realize what it was.
Yeah.
And then your smiles grew. Okay.
Okay, if no other board comments, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Lewandowski, seconded by Ms. Salem. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Motion carries unanimously. We are adjourned at 7:34 p.m.